Most people don't understand how dangerous this job really is. You know, it's all part of the game. It's a really painful part of it, but you learn from the mistakes. And in this job, it's not when you get hurt, or if you get hurt, it's when and how bad. "36 years.
36 years.
I started running chainsaws when I was 10 years old, cutting firewood. When I turned 16, 17, I got a job setting chokers for an outfit. Setting chokers for them, and I seen the timber fallers across the canyon falling timber. I was like, I want their job. So I found a guy that started breaking me in. So I'd set chokers all week, and I'd break in falling timber on the weekends. I'd do it 7 days a week. By the time I was 21, I started being self-employed. So, it's a passion. You either love it or you hate it. I just love being outside, outdoors. You get to experience a lot of stuff people never see. You know, you get to see wildlife on a regular basis. Bears, bobcats, cougars once in a while.
Oh, speaking of which, we were down on the on the other side of the river. He was it on your back cut?
No, I cut the tree down and I'd set my saw up on the stump. I had just cut the tree down and I flipped my saw up on the stump, and that baby owl landed on it.
Baby owl landed on it.
Just looking at me like, what's up?
Oh yeah, and it had just stopped moving.
Most people don't understand how dangerous this job really is. I've had numerous people tell me, I can do your job. I've watched you out of my pickup window across the canyon. I can do your job. No, you can't. I mean, you probably get a close call at least once a week, sometimes more. Sometimes you don't have any, but I've had numerous close calls. My cutting partner got killed 17 years ago.
Really? What was his name?
Bob Betts.
Bob Betts.
One of the safest guys I knew on the saw. He just made a bad mistake going in. There was a blowdown tree going into a new strip. Bucked the first log off of it. It rolled down the hill. The second log that he bucked laid there. He started down working below it, and that log broke loose, come down and hit him in the back of the legs. And smashed him against the log that the tree that he was cutting, and had severe head trauma and tore his aorta. He was in and out of consciousness for about an hour. Life flight. They shut the chopper off on the job. You know, he'd passed it. They worked on him for probably an hour after we got him out of the brush, but they said if he would have lived, he would have never been the same because of the head trauma. That one about took the wind out of my sails. No, he was a good friend of mine. Bad thing about it was he was the same age I am now when he passed. 6 months after he got hit, I got hit with a tree which should have killed me. But instead of driving me into the dirt, it hit me right above the elbow, shoved my shoulder into my face, dislocated my shoulder, and threw me up the hill. If it had drove me into the dirt, it would have killed me. But every tree is different. But for the most part, you get them to go where you want 95% of the time. Realistically, anybody can cut a tree down. You can train a monkey to cut a tree down. Put a saw on it, walk around in a circle, it'll fall over. Gravity takes over. But if you're gonna stay alive, that's a whole different ballgame. Putting them where you want, that don't always come easy. And in this job, it's not when you get hurt, or if you get hurt, it's when and how bad. So I've been busted up many times. You learn from it. Keep coming back. All right, let's go get this thing started. It's a good way of life. I enjoy it. Some days not so much, but for the most part, pretty good. These things have been dead for 5 years now, and they start doing this, those tops will snap out. So you always gotta be looking up, because if those come out, then you gotta try to find a place to hide. I usually have a plan before I start the back cut. There is situations, they're never good. You get into a spot where like you have no place to run, no place to go, but the tree has to come down. So you do it, and thank the good Lord when it's all said and done and you're still walking out. Been there a couple times. I have cut trees before and the whole hillsides took off. Cut a tree down, all the ground started shifting. Well, I just rode it out and nothing you can do. So, hope you don't go too far. Good times. So, if you go back 15 years, when I was running my own crew, I had anywhere from 12 to 18 guys working for me. My phone would ring off the hook every night, people looking to work. It takes me, if I need to find somebody to help cut, I gotta call 300 people to find one that might show up. There's a lot of young kids that wanna do it, but they want the money, they don't want to work, you know. Well, I'll do it if you break me in. I don't have that kind of time, and this stuff is not for beginners. You'll wind up having someone hurt or killed. All three of us that are up here cutting have got 30 plus years experience, and every one of us have had near-death experiences on this job. Just on this job, and we've only been here since March, April. One of the guys got hit week before last. He was cutting on this side of the road, and a tree from the other side snapped off about 12 feet off the ground, come down and hit him, and split his lip. He bit his tongue, screwed up his shoulder. He's got a bunch of scabs on his shoulder. He was pretty bloody when it was all said and done, but just thankful to walk away from it, you know. But it's unpredictable stuff like that is pretty common for doing these jobs. You know, you get so used to it and comfortable with it. The problem with out here is if you get complacent, you get hurt. You always got to be on your toes and keep your head on a swivel, because I've had, on a brushy hillside like this, but a lot more brush, I've thrown a tree out and hit one that has been blowed over that I didn't see in under the brush, come out of the brush and bounce over my head and land on the other side of the stump. Happens so fast you don't have time to get scared. You shrug it off. Well, that was close. But the guys that overthink it, they can't work the rest of the day. You know, I almost died. Well, you didn't, but you almost did. You know, it could have, but you didn't. Yeah, it's you see a lot of guys that they want to do it until they start to do it, and then it's like, no, way more than they anticipated. Which, realistically, there's a lot to it. I don't know what I'd do if I had to give up falling timber. Be a bum. Moving. Most people don't realize how physical this job is. It's pretty physically demanding.
I got a brace on now. But still ain't freaking helping. I had to skip leg day yesterday.
Yeah?
I had a legitimate reason.
There's no reason. I did leg day yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday was leg day. The boys were like, what are you doing? I'm like, my ankle can't take it. It can't take it.
Every day's leg day. Say that one that he fell down the hill, if you hit the end of it and it was in a weird angle, you hit the end of it, it can spin out of there like a baseball bat and just...
Or break and flip in the air.
Yeah, just knock the shit out of you. Or if you're standing on something and you didn't realize the tree was gonna hit it, you go for one hell of a ride. That log. Sorry I'd have yelled earlier, I didn't notice you were laying on it.
Oh, thank you.
He was kneeling on one of the old blowdowns, and I flipped a big tree and I didn't realize he was kneeling on it.
Oh yeah.
And I looked, oh, watch that log! And about that time it rattled his knees pretty good.
I was like,
it wasn't long before he told me, like, before you fall a tree, if there's anything around you got to buck it first. You know, if it could potentially wiggle or flip or anything. Yeah, because you never know what's going to move.
I was bucking a log, just bucking it, and I hit a vine maple. And it come up and cracked me hard hat and forehead, knocked my hard hat off, but knocked me out cold. I woke up, my saw was still idle and sitting in the log.
We had a breakdown one time and I took a nap, so I had freaking time to just take a nap while they were fixing whatever. I woke up, I was crossed like this. There was a squirrel on or a chipmunk on the tip of my toe, going like this. I think he was after my nuts.
yeah, you.
See that top breakout? You gotta watch those.
It's burning a little bit. Yeah. Oh my God. Dude.
What'd you do?
I just checked my fuel and I didn't put the cap back on, and now my balls are on fire. What the f? I'll go home and ask the old lady if she wants her drinking case.
I remember my first day at work.
Oh my God. F and G. Oh my God, dude. That does not feel good. I might be done now.
I think that one's dead.
Woo! That's burning.
God.
Was that a first?
The first time it burned without a legitimate STD or something.
You ever done that?
No. But I have put oil in my oil tank and then threw it over my back and have oil run down your back, bar oil down your back and through the crack of your ass. It makes for an uncomfortable day. This is just who I am. I love it. I wish the kids could experience what we experienced as kids growing up without the cell phones and all the technology, where you had to, you know, they'll sit there and say, oh, we're bored. You go outside and do something.
Mm-hmm.
The workforce in America, technology's ruined it. Nobody wants to be physical labor. They want to sit in front of a computer screen. And that's great if you can do that, but where's all the manual labor? You know, there's a reason we have all the Hispanics, because they're willing to work and they're good workers.
Yeah.
You know, as long as they're here legally, I don't care. But everybody complains, well, they're taking our jobs. They're doing work you don't want to do. So how are they taking your job? because we'll fire him and hire you. Well, no. Yeah, exactly. So that's the bad part about it. One guy I work with, he's been my cutting partner for the last few years. Jerry, we were down out of Eugene. If it wasn't for him, I'd have been killed on that job twice. He saved my ass twice. I fell a big fir. We were cutting old growth. I fell a big fir, and the sun was in my eyes, and I couldn't. I just fell it. I was standing there, and he was on the hillside behind me. He goes, "Look out!" And all I did is I seen this big wad of shit coming at me, just a shadow. And I was in a bunch of blowdown, had no place to go. So I took off running, and I could feel clipping my heels as it all come down, crashing down around me. He goes, I said, thanks. That one. He goes, I said, that'd have ruined my day. He goes, no, it'd have ruined all of our days because we'd have to pack you out of here. Yeah, good point. I said, I wouldn't have known what hit me. And then I was cutting an 8-foot fir. It was over 8 feet. It was burned out, hollow inside. I could stand inside of it with my arms spread and turn around in a circle and not touch any wood inside the tree. 8 to 12 inches of wood on the high side, and the low side there might have been 15 inches of wood, but you could walk inside the tree and it would just burn out. And I hollered at the crew. I said, I have no control over this tree. There is nothing here. I walked up on the hill and I found this big maple, and everything's burnt, brittle. Threw this maple at it, and it shoves it, and then the maple broke, and that big son of a come back, and I was like, oh, this ain't good, because I was in a bad spot. And it stopped. So I went back down, and my cutting partner hollered at me. He goes, you need more wedges? I went, no, I need a bigger set of balls. I said, this is the sketchiest tree I've ever cut in my life. Just got my bar and chain on, my big saw. I fired it up, letting it warm up, and I was putting my earplugs in, standing on an old growth, putting my earplugs in, and Jerry goes, here it comes! And that son of a came over backwards, come down, and it took another 6-foot tree, just busted it off at the ground. So now we got two over 200-foot tall trees coming at us, and all this brittle and you don't know where all the shrapnel's going, what all is gonna break. So we're scrambling like for our lives, obviously. And when it all came to a rest, everything quit moving. I looked at him and said, you good? Yep. His eyes are about that big around. That was close. I said, that's way too close. And he's just sitting there trembling. He goes, that was too close for comfort. I said, you saved my ass again. I said, that if I wouldn't have been for you, I wouldn't have heard it coming. I said, it would have just crushed me right there on that log. Those trees came over, they hit a big maple tree and ripped a bunch of shit off, and there was stuff as big as a small car laying right where we were standing. And let's get out of here. We walked to the road, the whole crew's down there like, you guys all right? Yep. Said all we seen was hard hats take off and nothing after that. I said, well, until the saw started. And I went, yep. I said, but we're done for the day. That's it. That one just rattled us way too hard to even think about continuing. Used to, you could work for one outfit all year and not have to look for anything else. Now, you can work for 3 or 4 different outfits, just picking up what the bunchers can't get and still be looking for work.
Really?
There's just not a lot of work hand falling out there. Oh, sometimes I hate my job. It's not really my job. It's just that you don't ever get to look forward to, oh, there's a flat. Well, you don't get to cut that. That's for the machines. That's just where it is anymore. It sucks, but I think I'll be able to retire doing it, but I don't know what is in the future for the younger guys. All the new laws and regulations, even the small timber owners, mom and pop that had timber ground that they were going to retire on, some of these new regulations, they can't even log it now. They sat on it for years for retirement, and now they can't do anything with it because all the new stream restrictions and buffer strips went from 100 feet to 500 feet. You just can't do it. Our cities are so overpopulated with people that don't know anything about our way of life and what we do or how we live, they don't see a reason to have it. So they just vote no. Do away with it. But they get to vote on everything that has to do with our way of life, and they do away with a lot of it. And it all comes back to hurt everybody in the long run.
What are you hopeful for?
I would really hope that they lift the restrictions on the BLM federal ground so we can start logging it instead of watching it burn. Which, there's enough federal ground in Oregon and Washington that the residents of Oregon and Washington would be able to have residuals or royalty checks come from it if they would just log it and manage it the right way. But they did away with it, and now we all pay higher taxes because they got to figure out how to get the money that they lost when they shut down the forest industry. You know, doesn't make any sense. But yet they spend millions every year fighting fires. So they just rather watch it burn than actually use it for what it's for. All the rules and regulations and all the crap that go along with it, and a lot of them don't make any sense, but somebody sitting behind a desk thought it was a good idea. You can't run a staple gun without having safety glasses on. Somebody got shot in the eye. Yeah. Why were you looking down the barrel? Do what you love what you do. It's not worth doing. That's what I live by. If you don't like it, don't do it.